used to believe purpose was something you earned, a reward that came after stability, after everything else in life was in place. But life doesn't wait for stability. It throws chaos at you, ready or not. What if purpose isn't the reward for stability, but the source of it? You might remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, an intuitive way to understand human motivation. It's a pyramid with the idea that we have to climb from the bottom up. Survive first, then feel safe, then belong, then earn respect and recognition, and only then reach purpose at the very peak. But even just saying all of that feels a little exhausting, making anything short of that top feel like failure, like I'm not enough. Maslow actually described the bottom 4 levels as deficiency needs, things we chase because something feels missing. Meeting them brings relief, not joy. But when they're not met, you feel anxious and drained. That 5th level, purpose, is different. It's a growth need. And if you can figure out what that is for you, it's the fastest way to get through all of those bottom 4 levels. Unfortunately, Maslow believed very few adults ever reach that peak. We all know that feeling of striving for something that feels impossible to reach. But what if there's another way of looking at this that enables more of us to live and thrive on authentic purpose? Imagine flipping Maslow's pyramid upside down. Purpose then becomes your foundation, not the peak. When life's chaos inevitably occurs, you fall back to purpose, not failure. And that's what gives you the strength to rise again. With this flip in place, your authentic purpose can begin to clarify and grow even stronger, giving you a foundation that keeps you steady, regardless of what life throws your way. I'll share what this looked like for me, how I found my own foundation of authentic purpose, and later, how I returned to it when life knocked me down. In high school, I slipped into what I now recognize as depression. The moment I realized this was when my dad was admitted to the ICU, potentially on his deathbed, and I felt nothing. Not fear, not sadness, just a weight pressing down where emotions should have been. Around the same time, college decisions came out. Getting into a good school felt like my first real proof point in life, a way to show that I was capable, that I was enough. But the rejections kept coming. And when my acceptance to the school I did get into was rescinded after I fell behind on schoolwork, it felt like the ground just gave way completely. I'm forever grateful that a teacher saw something in me that helped reset the trajectory in my life that I couldn't see in myself. But even after that, I was just meandering through life, going through the motions, desperate to care about something, anything, but not sure what I cared about. For years, I collected bits of insight about myself, what I liked, what I didn't, but still not really sure what to do with any of that information. It wasn't until over a decade later that something finally clicked. I was preparing for a promotion interview where the task was to explain something complex clearly. As I brainstormed topics that I could possibly explain with confidence, I realized I'd always been drawn to psychology and frameworks as a way to understand myself better. What I realized is that I was actually more passionate talking about those than any of the technical topics that I should have been an expert on. That realization connected everything. What I'd previously dismissed as random interests weren't random at all. The insecurities and hardest times I've lived through were no longer something to hide. They were powerful clues to my authentic purpose, which is to help others find their purpose and the clarity and confidence that come with it. I didn't get that promotion, and it didn't matter. For the first time, I wasn't shaping myself around anyone else's expectations. I knew what mattered to me, And that clarity became the bedrock of my foundation. Every choice since, in career, leadership, and now motherhood, has been guided by that conviction. When you can articulate your authentic purpose, you stop drifting and start choosing. It helps you focus your limited energy on what truly matters and let go of what doesn't. Once I realized authentic purpose could be a foundation for how I navigated life intentionally, rather than meandering, I asked myself, can I actually walk the talk? How do I return to purpose when life knocks me down? I realized I follow a similar reflection pattern again and again that helps me find my footing. I call it the sane process because it's what keeps me grounded when life feels anything but. And yes, I came up with the acronym just as a way to help remember in the middle of chaos. It's what helps me pause, notice what's happening, and realign with purpose. So whenever life feels off balance, I spot the shoulds when I'm letting pressures or expectations drain me. I acknowledge which of Maslow's levels is really being tested for me, whether it's survival, security, belonging, or esteem. I navigate my triggers and what helps me recover authentically. And lastly, I energize with purpose, understanding even better what is deeply meaningful to me. How you use sane is up to you, but the key here is noticing what drains you and what would energize you instead. Let me share how this played out in my own life, starting with the survival level of Maslow's pyramid. After finding clarity with my authentic purpose, I thought I was ready for anything. And then I became a parent. Suddenly, while taking care of a newborn baby, my life was reduced to eat, sleep, survive. I was surviving in 20-minute increments of rest at a time, and most days, brushing my teeth felt like a luxury. In the middle of that chaos, I had a near panic attack over something trivial. A window left open, or maybe shut. I honestly can't remember. What I do remember is how it felt. I felt like I was drowning in shoulds. I should eat healthier. I should respond to people. I should do sensory play with my baby every single day. At some point, I realized I was simply in the survival level of Maslow's pyramid. My brain and body were exhausted. I didn't need to be more productive, I needed rest. And that's sane in action. I spotted the shoulds, the impossible expectations of being a perfect mom. I acknowledged which level I was truly in, survival. Once I understood that, I stopped beating myself up. I navigated by recognizing that overreactions to trivial things were clues for me that I was in survival mode. And the best way for me to get through it is to focus on physical recovery and try to let go of everything else. And I re-energized with purpose by remembering this survival phase is temporary. My authentic purpose will still be there, waiting for me when I'm ready to rise again. Now, when life pushes me back into survival mode, I recognize it faster. I let go sooner, and I recover more easily. When life gets hard, purpose is what grounds you, reminding you of what you're still building towards. Once the survival storm passed, another level of Maslow's pyramid showed up that was just as destabilizing: comparison. Watching others pull ahead, I found myself wondering if I was still on the right path, questioning whether I was enough. For me, the hardest moments have been watching people once more junior than me pull ahead, getting promoted faster, gaining the visibility that I wanted too. And I'll admit it stings. Not because I begrudge their success, but because I crave that recognition too. And that's me spotting the shoulds again. The first step of sane. Should I be doing something else? Then I acknowledged it for what it was: Maslow's self-esteem level, where we question our worth. But purpose reframed that. It helped me navigate by reminding me what kind of success would actually feel meaningful to me and make me proud. I could have worked longer hours, chased titles within my technical domain, but that wouldn't have been progress towards my authentic goals. My authentic purpose is centered on people, leading teams, improving systems, coaching others. Now, when I see peers surpass me, I stop and breathe. And I remind myself, my path doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Self-esteem isn't a contest. It's an alignment between my values and my actions. And that's how I re-energize with purpose. When you find yourself questioning your worth, purpose can remind you of your value. It brings you back to what's authentic, what only you can offer. Because that's what flipping the pyramid is all about, a clearer way to prioritize from the inside out. When comparison creeps in or your confidence wavers, return to purpose. Remind yourself what you genuinely want to chase and what you can let go of, so you can keep building on what's meaningful instead of drifting off course. That's how you grow stronger, more resilient. I used to wander through life, unsure what mattered, meandering through a fog of uncertainty. Every setback risked pushing me deeper into the gray. But discovering my authentic purpose changed everything. It became a steady foundation, giving me the clarity, confidence, and conviction that I've never had before. Life storms still come, survival struggles, comparison. But now I can see which level of Maslow's pyramid is being tested and meet that need intentionally with the sane process. Each time I spot the shoulds, acknowledge the need, navigate my patterns, and energize with purpose, I'm reminded that Maslow's pyramid is no longer something I climb. Purpose isn't at the top, it's a foundation I start from. And when life delivers chaos, I don't just survive, I navigate, I rebuild, I grow. So start small. Next time shoulds take over for you, take a breath. Try the sane process and see what deeper truths get revealed. If you only remember one thing today, let it be this. Start with purpose. Because purpose is what steadies you through life's storms. And that's how we build resilience on purpose. Thank you.